Hello everyone, Professor Short here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm your Poli-Psych 211 instructor. So I have my introductory lecture. I'm going to go ahead and go through it real quickly so that we can get this started. This is primarily for you seniors that are starting class. We're going to miss Monday because of Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. So I'm just trying to get this out so we can have all the classes in the same, format and week. That's what we want to do. So, in the event that there are some seniors that are new to the class, I'm just going to do a really quick, brief rundown. I'm married, I have 2 kids, I'm a cancer survivor, all that good stuff. Let's see, I write novels as a hobby. I have a master's degree from Eastern Kentucky. My focus was on Martin Luther, Reformation Studies, Ancient History, World War II, and Soviet Studies. There are a few things we need to get out of the way pretty much immediately. Since this is a 211 class, I'm going to be expecting a lot more independent study from you all. For those of you who have been in my class before, I usually give you things like access to my lectures. We're not going to do that this year. You're going to have to independently pay attention. As such, I'm allowing you in this class to use your Chromebooks, not your phones, but I will let you use your Chromebooks to take notes if that's how you want to do it. You will be expected to get a copy of the book. This is the book, International Relations by Shrev, whatever. Bill Jones should have a copy of that for you, so you will be expected to pay attention to that. Additionally, before I do another thing and before I forget, this is the introduction to the course. This is not the first lecture. For the first lecture, there will be an auditory and an audio rendition. You've seen how I do that on occasion, for those of you who've been in my class before. And as such, you are going to be expected to come in the second class period fully aware of what's going on in the class. Okay? This means that you very well could have a quiz the very first time we meet in person, physically. So be aware of that. Okay? Alright. I have not made any cheat sheets, nothing. This is 211. This is you having a regular college course with all the expectations of a sophomore in college. So I can't really do it the same format that we did with the 100 level classes. More independent study is going to be expected from you, and this is what you can expect when you get into, Bloomington or Purdue or wherever it is you may decide to go, should you decide to continue your education. All right. Blah, 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 blah. There are 2 informational sources that we'll use in this class. The first being the International Relations by Shrev. And the other will be just whatever I decide to throw at you. This is the first time I've taught 211, so we're kind of making it up as we go along. But the basic format, the basic ideas are all going to be the same that you've experienced in my prior classes, just without all the additional help, if that makes sense. So let's see here. Blah. So talking about this course, it's primarily dealing with international relations and the intrinsic issues that come. We all see the world differently, right? The way that we were raised, the way that we have experienced things, right? They all impact how we interact with other people. Now take everything that you know, all the problems you may have had with somebody in your class, and then throw a different culture, a different language in there. And you can see how it might be problematic trying to work out a treaty, a non-aggression or a trade treaty with somebody that doesn't share your values doesn't have your language, it could be very difficult, as you might imagine. So, this course takes a three-pronged approach, just like your book does, right? Kind of follow the book. One, we ask the question, what? What is it we're studying? Be it international terrorism, be it, that's an interesting, that's lecture 6, I'm looking forward to that one. But be it international terrorism, international law, whatever, right? International trade, we first look at what it is and we explore it. Next comes how. How do we study it? What is it that makes it interesting? What, or not in some cases. But we're looking at it to try to figure out the importance of it, right? And third, how do we apply what we've learned? This is the approach that the book takes, and this is how I've structured the lectures, with these 3 questions in mind. Since this course is about international relations, the first question is pretty simple. Why are we studying it? Some of you are in here because you got assigned it, right? I can only imagine some of you were excited, at least partially, to take this course. And I'm going to try my best to make it as interesting as I can. International relations can be really dry. It really can. But hopefully we can get through it, you know, and not hate each other in the process. All right. What we will discover is that while international relations is the overall theme of the course, there are many different aspects to the field. Best example I can give is think of your favorite musician, your favorite recording artist, right? They produce a record with various songs on it. Perhaps they have multiple albums. You can look for a particular song or an album, but they're all under the heading of the artist. For this class, we already know the author. International relations is the musicians, right? And we're looking for their albums and songs. It may not be the best analogy I can give, but it's relevant for me. When we look at the how portion, in this case we look for those topics by analyzing the facts and opinions of the people affected by international relations. Simple enough, right? We will always try to do so objectively. Objectivity is the main word in my class, as you already know. We try to analyze events dispassionately and fairly, not succumbing to the propaganda or moral suasion, which is ever present in our media today. We often get our information about international events through the internet, social media, occasionally the news, the nightly news, although it's very, very rare in this day and age, especially for your generation to do that. Due to AI algorithms which select what we think, what it thinks we want to see, we can find ourselves kind of in a tunnel where there's never an opposing view, and that's not really good for democracy at all. A good example of this, the tone. We talked about this last semester, right? When we were talking about how the media impacts things. The tone, the author really puts it out there for you. I have an example. Dear Sally, I want a woman who knows what love is all about. You are generous, kind, thoughtful. People who are not like you admit to being useless and inferior. You have ruined me for other women. I yearn for you. I have no feelings whatsoever when we're apart. I can be happy, forever happy. Will you let me be yours, Tom? That's an example of tone, right? Let's take the exact thing and simply change the tone of it. Dear Sally, again, almost exactly the same wording. I want a woman who knows what love is. All about you are generous, kind, and thoughtful people who are not like you. Admit to being useless and inferior. You have ruined me. For other women I yearn. For you I have no feelings whatsoever. When we're apart, I can be forever happy. Will you let me be? Just changing a few words in the sentence, changing how we inflect, imparts a different tone to the whole message. It's really fascinating when we look at stuff like this. This example can easily demonstrate the complexities of communication. Simply putting punctuation in different places can change the tone and impact of a written document. Both express very different things while using practically the same words. Now consider how difficult it can be to understand others who are speaking a different language. We have different cultural norms. As we study in this history, it's studied in history class, we cannot separate people from their culture, and it is wrong to judge them for that. We shouldn't try to. It makes us bad people when we try to impart our value systems on people that just don't share them. We have to try and figure out what they have in their country that we can relate to. And that's the challenge of international relations. Lastly, we have the application of knowledge. Specifically in this case, we are looking to see how to apply the knowledge we have gained in individual, state, and global contexts. We ask the question, how did this impact governments in the past, present, and how will they in the future? Sorry, my dog is here. You want to say hello? Come here, Sandy. Oops, that tail of yours. Come here. Come here. Say hello to... This is Sandy. Oh, yes, I love you too. All right, now go on, let me finish my lecture. Sorry. Let's see. We ask questions, how does this impact governments in the past, present, and how will these things impact things in the future? There. By looking at things on a global scale, we can extend our natural internal focus and see how events that happen a world away might impact us tomorrow. We only have one page left, so bear with me here, folks. We will go through this course with the application of critical thinking, learning to analyze events and circumstances to find objective solutions to problems. I taught a class in critical thinking, so you're in what I consider to be good hands. Critical thinking allows you to observe and make decisions in a logical, not emotional frame of mind. One thing I have learned in my life, I consider myself an extremely logical decision maker. Logic is useless and can be just downright evil without the temperament of morality. You must have logic and morality together to work, to function for society. So, the main objectives of this course. 1, define international relations as a discipline. 2, identify major actors and decisions in international relations and the main areas in which they interact. 3, recognize major challenges and problems the world is facing today. 4, understand the methodology of international relations excuse me, and the ways critical thinking might be applied to study and the analysis of that information. And 5, but not last, apply the knowledge gathered into a critical analysis of a case related to war and democracy. We're going to explore war as a tool of international diplomacy. I think that's lecture 4, if memory serves. We'll find out for sure. Pardon me. Lecture 1, summarize the key points. International relations is the primary study of many interactions among states as well as the activities of non-state organizations. 2, international relations includes international politics or the study of how states protect their interests. This is the whole reason for international relations. How does a state protect its own interests? This includes the economics of the globe and international law. 3, state sovereignty is a central concept in the study of international relations. Sovereignty usually refers to the independent authority of a state. Nations and state, Sandy, nations and state, sit down, sit. Sandy, sit, good girl. Nations and state are interchangeable in this course. Sometimes I'll refer to a nation, sometimes I'll refer to a state. It means the same thing. It's still France, okay, regardless of how you say it. 4, state governments conduct, see right there's a good point, a state government. We're not talking about Alabama, we're talking about France. State governments conduct foreign policy often through diplomacy. Their foreign policy often consists of official decisions and communications, both public and secret, among other state governments, non-government organizations, international institutions, and corporations. 5, NGOs, or non-government organizations, play an important role in international relations. 6, understanding international relations will help you assess and understand events which might impact on you both today and in the future. The 2 reasons to study international relations is to provide an informed opinion on topics and to use that knowledge to help build a better future for everyone. 7, part of the study of international relations is informational. We look at the facts and events and then assess their impact on our nation and on the world at large. Last thing I will say in this introductory lecture on this is that you need to review the key terms for Chapter 1 in Shrev's book. The terms are found printed in bold text and they will be used for both quizzes and exam questions, although I am not limited to those. Be aware, you heard it here. I'm not limited to that. That's just what I will primarily go to first. Yeah, if you have any questions, don't forget to ask. All right, so the last thing we will do here is we will go over your syllabus. We'll do this in a prompt and efficient manner. Very little has changed here from any syllabus you've ever gotten from me in the past. I do not intend to print out syllabi this year, so there will be one accessible to you, both in the description on Canvas and in the file section on Canvas. So be aware of this. I'm not printing it out for you. You're going to have to get it on your own. But let's see here. We have Shrev's book. Major course objectives. I literally just went over those. Things we're going to study. You can look at that on your own. Let's see. We have 3 exams. Typical. And unless I change my mind, they should be just exactly the way that you've seen them in the past. Multiple choice, fill in the blank, essay. There are 9 discussion boards. They're worth 90 points. You have your topic and paper presentation. This is kind of a standard thing in a more advanced college course. You're going to defend your paper. We've already talked about it. It's worth 200 points. I'm not entirely sure how this will look when we do it. I'll know a lot more about it after the first group goes. So I may end up having to adjust a little bit after the first one. At this point, the way that I'm thinking about it, everything is open. You want to do a slideshow, you want to do a puppet show, you want to just sit there to explain stuff right, you want to just read your paper, reenact the Civil War battle. You know, it's worth 200 points. That's rather significant. If you fail that, you'll probably have a very difficult time passing the course. At this moment, I would not count on bonus work at all. I haven't built any in, and I don't know how it would look for this, because it would have to be, anything I did would have to be on an international relations scale. Could be problematic. So remember, 100 points of this is your presentation, 100 points of it is your paper itself. And we'll get into more detail closer to the time. Just be aware of the fact that this is coming. And let's see here, the last thing, we'll have 9 quizzes. There are 9 lectures, so we'll have a quiz. I'm probably going to do them at the end of each class, unless I change my mind. Total points is 680. All modules will be opened, I think it's 8. Might be 8:30 on Monday. So yeah, and your discussion boards, just like always, close, you know, midnight on Sunday or a minute before midnight. You know, nothing really seriously has changed other than the expectation that I have for you as far as doing work on your own. Midterm grades are due March 12th. Final grades are due May 14th. Let's see here, blah, 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 blah. First exam is going to be February 12th, the week of. Second exam is March 18th. Spring break is March 25th through 29th. Obviously we won't meet then. April 14th is the last day to withdraw, and your final is on May 6th. Let's see here. On page 6 you have your guidelines for the assignment, the big assignment, presentation assignment. So I suggest everybody pay attention to that to some degree. I also have your rubric there, how I intend to look at it. Page 8 and 9 deal with the stuff that Ivy Tech makes me put in there. As always, I have the make sure you put periods at the end of your sentences on page 9 as well. And you have an example of a paper which you all have already done for me, so it shouldn't be all that surprising. Take a look at your syllabus. In the event that there is something I didn't cover, in the event there's something you don't understand, reach out. As always, I'm available and I'll help you if I can. The only other thing I will say is expect to do more work this semester. Read the first chapter in Shrev's book, right? I'm giving you a lecture on it. It's an auditory lecture. There's no notes or hints or anything. So read the chapter. You're going to need to do that each time you have to read the chapter. I had to read them. You have to too. That seems fair to me. So let's see. If there's any questions, let me know. And if not, I suppose I will see you next Monday. Take care.